Do you remember the first cabaret you were in?
I do. I think.
How long ago was that?
Oh, okay, we'll talk about it. I didn't even know what it was called at the time. So I just did it. We tried to start a cabaret in downtown Dallas before downtown.
Before downtown is downtown?
Where was it? Is now. It was at what was called the Stone Street Theater.
Okay. Where was the Stone Street Theater?
Right on Stone Street, downtown, across from the Jewel.
That makes sense.
And it was right over Campese's. And two actors in Dallas, Sergio Garcia and his partner, tried to start a cabaret. It was really designed like a New York theater. It was above and had this long strip in the middle and seats and a stage. And they brought a piano in, and the people let them, I believe, and I may be wrong, but the people let them have it rent-free to see if they could start it, get it going.
Nice.
And they had a series of people in. I actually did a 2-night back-to-back, and it went really well. And I called that show The Lady and Their Music, which was, I was the lady, and I was singing the music of the women that I love. So that show evolved into divas of American music.
What'd you wear? Is that very Joan Rivers of me now?
What'd you wear? I was wearing this wonderful ensemble from Target.
So how did it go?
It went really well. It was received real well. Unfortunately, the audience downtown, there was no audience downtown at the time. This was years ago.
Okay.
And
well, how long has downtown been cool now?
Oh, I think the last 3 years, maybe. Is it really still cool? Kind of. It is, but it went from having, nobody living down there to almost 6,000 residents.
Right.
So I think if it had happened about now,
where's
it would be a lot better.
Where's the Stone Street Theater now?
It is an insurance company above Campese's. That's what they've changed it to. I know. Such is the life. Cabaret, which we're trying to change.
Did you know you were doing cabaret when you did it? What did you think you were doing?
I was just saying.
Yeah.
I knew it was cabaret, but I didn't know how much I would love it like I do now.
What do you love about it?
It's I love the ability to interact with my audience during a performance.
I yell at you when you sing.
I know. I hear you. And I yell back.
There's a fine line between fan appreciation and heckling. I try to be on the other side.
I try to keep the wall. I built a fence right on that line. And thus far, you have not climbed the fence. So it's okay. It's all okay. But I love the ability to be able to interact and talk to them. And because for me, that keeps it very spontaneous.
It's hard, isn't it? You can't script that.
No. And I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. It is because then it's fake.
Sure.
Some of the things I get from my audience are just so funny and over the top, whether they're sober, whether they're drunk, whether they're...
Tell me about your audience.
I think I have a core group of people who come and they know what type of energy to give me. So that helps too with the people who have never been before or who aren't used to, what's the word? Because I don't want people to go, oh, she likes us to come and yell back. No, that's not what I'm saying.
You're supposed to do that.
No, I want you to come and enjoy it. And it's kind of like church. Well, depending on what church you grew up in. Because I'm an amen kind of girl. I'm a yes.
An amen kind of, okay.
Yes. And so if you hear something that you like, you express it in that way. Yeah. Oh, because you can't contain it.
Yeah.
And that's a great energy. Even, that a lot of times you even get energy from the silence. There are some songs that I know that are incredibly powerful. Mm-hmm. And I can feel the energy in the room from the silence, if that makes sense.
Can you shape that, or is it something that just sort of happens organically?
No, I think it kind of happens, and a lot of times it happens. It happens as kind of naturally. It just comes when it happens more when I lose myself in the song. And I try to lose myself in every song. There's some songs, of course, that are more playful, but when I'm singing a song like Strange Fruit or Mean to Me or Come Sunday by Duke Ellington was one that hit me unexpectedly the last time I sang it. And
What do you mean it hit you unexpectedly?
because I come from a very in-the-moment place when I'm singing a song. So I allow the words to hit me for the first time every time I sing it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And so while I know the meaning and everything, but when I'm singing a song, you react different. It's like I'm hearing the words for the first time every time.
How do you do that when you do it so often?
I think it comes from a lot of my training as an actor that you have to just be in the moment. Everything has to happen for the first time every night. When you do a play, everything has to happen for the first time every night. You have to know how to keep that fresh while maintaining the same thing.
You think that's why people like you, because you can stay authentic?
No, they like me because I pay them.
Because you paid. I don't mean to sound critical, but my check hasn't come in the mail. I like you for free for a little while. You know, the first time I saw you perform, you were working at a function, at an event that I was at.
Mm-hmm. You had longer hair.
I did have long hair. And I was so excited when I found out that they were booking you for Salmon's Cabaret. I was like, oh, I know her. She and I, we go way back.
I know where you're going.
I call you and hey, this is Ron Thompson. You know, I just want to let you know. I'm helping out with Salmon's Cabaret. Let me do what I can help you to be helpful.
And I did what I did. Hey, sweetie, thank you so much.
Yeah. A year later, I had no idea who you were.
I didn't recognize you. Had cut your hair. It had been a year.
Oh, yeah, I cut my hair.
You had that plastic surgery we don't talk about.
Not anymore.
So I didn't recognize you. But no, it was...
But I'm humble. It's okay.
Yes. But it was... well, after that, because I knew this guy that was just being so kind to me, but it was so wonderful to have somebody... And you did. You really stepped up. And I think I've thanked you, but I'll thank you publicly for just stepping up and really not just helping me, but I realized that I wasn't special, that you helped all of the artists that way.
Just imagine if you remembered who I was.
I know.
Well, the reason I brought that up was not to shame you.
You did.
The first time I saw you, and I've seen you dozens and times since, but it really does seem like every single time is a special moment. You know, it's a fun. It's meaningful, and I don't think you can fake that. If you can, you fake it really well.
But you know, what you don't fake is the enjoyment of the moment. Are there certain things I plan to do during songs? Is there staging, if you will? Yeah, sometimes. But that is on the back burner to the fun that I'm having.
What doesn't work when you're performing cabaret?
What doesn't work is trying to manipulate my audience. Either they're going to have a good time or they're not. I can't worry about that. I have to plan the best show that I know how, and I have to have a good time. So when I have a good time, they have a good time.
You know, I noticed sometimes I've seen when you're performing solo, I've seen you pull out props for the audience to use. Can we talk about the props that you and Gary Lynn Floyd use at your duets?
He's such a trooper. No, I might do it again. I don't want to surprise
I probably still have pictures of it. Can you talk about it?
Well, we did a show called Duets for Thompson, and we talked about some of the famous duet partners. We talked about some of the more unlikely duet partners. We talked about some of the lifelong duet partners, Ashton and Simpson, the Carpenters, and people who were born, Tammy Terrell, Marvin Gaye, people born to sing together. We talked about people who never thought would sing together, Barry Manilow and Linda Tomlin, and Rod Stewart and Diana Ross. And so then we talked about the best duets, and then we talked about the worst duets.
So you decided to get in front of a room full of people and sing the worst songs
and
you could think of?
We did snippets of people, but these were songs, not only were they the worst duets, but these were the songs that you didn't want to claim that you knew all the words to. And most of the audience knew every word and sang along with us. And so with we started with, oh my gosh, I can't remember now. I think we did at one point Sonny and Cher. I Got You, Babe.
Oh, I know you did that.
Yes. Then we did
That's where the photography comes into play.
Ebony and Ivory, Stevie Wonder, and Paul McCartney, and Gary with Stevie.
You know,
You just glossed right over that. Gary with Stevie.
I didn't gloss over
go
anything.
ahead.
No. I glossed.
Yes.
Just thinking. Your shows have a lot of humor.
Yep.
A ton of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I've probably teared up at every single one of your shows. Are you a funny person or are you a soulful person? What are you?
That was a funny question. You know, I'm an honest person. So one of the things that I tell young artists is, again, live right there in that moment. If that moment makes you cry, cry and don't be ashamed.
Yeah.
You don't want to get to the point where you can't sing. But if you are feeling I did a show with William Blake a couple months ago. And
I saw him in a parade.
I know. That's my baby. I did a show with him, and I told a story about a song. I've never sung a song that never would have appealed to me to sing.
Okay.
But I sang it because of a promise I made. And I had no idea it would affect me in any way. And I cried half the way through.
Really?
And it was because...
During the show?
Yeah, during the song. But it was, I was able to still sing it. It was Danny Boy, which that's not a song you cover, but when I was in China a few years ago, I met and I'll just tell a very condensed version of the story. I met an elderly couple as I was waiting for a seat in a little small restaurant that I always went to. I was having one of those days, why am I here? I didn't like this place, I want to go home. And this couple didn't speak English. The guy saw I was standing and pulled me, and got up and offered me his seat. He didn't speak very, very much English. And so I went over and I sat down and he saw I had music in my hand. You singer in broken English, and I said, yes. And he said, he looked at his wife, and he took her hand and he said, we like Danny. And it was so, as I looked at him, then I looked at his wife, and tears started coming down their eyes. So I am not sure what that song meant to them, but I looked at him and I said, I will sing for you. And there was a moment right there that made me go, this is why I do what I do. And usually when I have those moments, because I have them from time to time here, I get affirmation.
Really?
That, yes, you are in the right place. Even though I'm overwhelmed a lot, I get affirmation that says, no, you're where you're supposed to be.
How often do you have those feelings?
Oh, God, what time is it? Every time rent is due.
Is it hard to be an artist in this town?
It is incredibly hard to be an artist. It's hard to be an older artist. It's hard, not only because everybody has their struggles. It's hard to be an artist, period. And when I say being an older artist, because we go through their phases. You go through, and right now, all of the work is being created for younger artists, and it is what it is. And there are times that I've been told by my agent, it's like I'm at that in-between stage weight-wise. I'm not skinny enough to be the skinny girl, but I'm not big enough to be the fat girl. So there's no work. And you laugh, but there's
so do you eat more or less?
Yeah, it's like, ooh, which is a struggle. Which way do I go? I know which one would be more fun, but then this the same thing. I'm not young enough to play the 30-year-old, but I don't look old enough to play the 60-year-old, even though I'm a lot closer to that than I'd like to admit.
What?
So yeah.
So who's writing the work? I mean, who? What kind of work would you like to see written?
It would be nice to find, I'm very happy to see people like Viola Davis get a role on TV now, but she's Viola Davis, so she can pretty much write on ticket, but she's not, and there was a whole bunch of controversy with that because somebody was saying, oh, she wasn't pretty or she wasn't, and she is a beautiful woman, but Hollywood has its images of what beauty is, and so when somebody doesn't fit in that, they're attacked. But her ability has gotten her to where she is, and I think she's a gorgeous woman because it's all subjective. It really is. So when people say, "Oh, you're not big," well, Hollywood says, "Yes, you are." Hollywood says the skinny women are fat, which is ridiculous. And that's something I've never gotten caught up in. So I think it's about being comfortable in your own skin. You have to just be who you are. Because I said if I ever got really, really famous, I would be Whoopi Goldberg. I would be Whoopi Goldberg. But because I'm going to be who I'm going to be, and you have to either like me for who I am or not. And I respect those. You're not for everybody.
Yeah.
And my job is not to convert anybody who like what I do. My job is to do what I do well for those who love it.
So I want to tell you a story. It's sort of like a lead into a question.
Mm-hmm.
I was going with a group of people to come here. Can I name names?
I don't know. Can you name names?
I'm going to name a name.
Yes.
I'm going to name a name.
Okay.
So a group of us are going to go hear you and Gary Lynn Floyd play down at a bar thing in Oak Cliff.
Yeah.
And the group that went there, it was a pretty heady crowd.
Okay.
And we came to the front door, and the person greeting everyone who came to the front door said, "Are you here to see the hockey game, or are you here to hear music?" "Are we here to see?" I'm going for the music. So they were funneling people in to do two different sides of the same room.
Yes.
Thinking that the separation would create enough wall between the hockey game and the music. So we're listening. I could hear the hockey game going, and I could hear people yelling, and I could hear you singing, and there was a point where Gary was telling a story. He was at the keyboard, and one of his songs that he wrote was just picked up by a national advocacy group, and they were using it as their call to action, their theme song, and it's an important song to him, and he was talking about From the Heart, where it came from, and right in the middle of it.
Well, and how he had won the Hollywood Music and Media.
He was on fire.
Yeah.
And here, Hometown Boy was in town playing for a home crowd, and something happened on TV, and everyone started yelling in the middle of the story on that side of the bar. And Gary just said, "You know what? I'm just going to play the piano." And I had two emotions simultaneously. One, I felt horrible. How can we have one of our most celebrated, accomplished local artists sit there and say, I'm just going to play the piano? And the other thing is, it pissed me off that this is the environment where people who love to hear local musicians have to go to.
Right. No.
And I'm just as much as a patron as the next person. We're all paying the same amount for the drinks there. But it bothered me a lot. And I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, but where else do they perform? Are you just used to it? How do you...
You have to put yourself in the mindset for whatever the gig is. I learned how to sing in that kind of environment working at the Hideaway.
The what?
The Hideaway was a little bar, piano dive, my favorite place that changed my life. And we, the people came in to listen to music, but it was a live music venue that was just a dive, but people came in from all walks of life. And I was there for about 7 or 8 years. Wow. Every Friday night. And you learned to deal with folks who weren't listening. Actually, you know what? You don't deal with people who aren't listening. You sing to the people that are.
Okay.
And you learn to tune all of those other things out. We learned well. and I learned how to deal with hecklers in that environment because we had a few of those. I learned how to deal with people who had one cocktail too many who didn't mean any harm.
Does that happen?
Oh, not often. But you learn how to deal with those kinds of folks in order to find a balance to keep them happy. Now that in itself is an art because you don't want to, you know that they love you and I'm in the middle of singing a song and literally someone will come up and take my hand and say, can you sing? And I'm literally singing something else. And so you learn how to deal with them and just kind of hold their hand, go put my finger up, see you in a minute. And they go, or, I can.
What about on a bad night? Which finger are you holding up?
I've learned how to playfully say, baby, I'm working. I'm working. So, but you learn how to deal with that. And Gary and I laugh about that at times and from where we come. And those things keep you humble.
What's your worst heckler story?
Worse as in serious kind of...
The one that sticks in your mind.
The woman that came in had never been in a hideaway, and she came in, and I was singing, and by the time I'd been there a while, so I had a pretty decent following, and every song that I would sing, she was talking really loud, kind of in front of the piano to a friend. And a couple of folks around were just getting frustrated, and somebody said, shh, shh. Well, I got the shh. I could do what she does. She's not that good. And it's very loud.
People could hear that.
Oh, she was loud. She screamed it so I could hear it. And the hideaway was only as big as my bathroom. So, okay. I mean, you could drop toilet paper and people would hear it. So, I finally, because the bar staff was really, really good about putting people out if I wanted them to. But they let me handle it.
Okay.
And I tried not to do it unless it was in the last resort. There were one or two people that needed to be put out because they were loud. But she finally, I stopped the song. I said, hold on. I said, now, are you just unhappy with being here, or is it me that you don't like? Because you have a choice. So in the middle of the
entire show and everybody and
right.
God and everything.
Because if you're not happy being here, or if it's me that you don't like, you can leave.
Okay.
And, I wouldn't feel bad about that at all. But if you are going to stay, you're going to be at least respectful to what I do, because this is my house. And you come to my house. And it had to get to that point because it had gone on for so long and we had tried to overlook it. And I smiled and I had joked back and forth with her a little bit if she would say something. And then finally I was like, okay, now you can either play it, you can either go home or you can play along. Come on up and sing with me. Mm-hmm. And so her friend said, yeah. So I brought her up and we sang Natural Woman. And after that, she was very happy for whatever reason.
So you made a new fan.
Probably not a new fan, but she knew in that moment that you don't do that to an artist.
You turned it down.
Yeah.
So is that really what's... So I'm going to call it... So we've been calling it cabaret.
Okay.
I'm going to define it.
Okay.
I'm going to define it as a singer, a piano, and maybe some other things, and a small room.
With people.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be me.
Yeah.
Would be...
There'd be a lot of echo.
But okay. So we're going to go ahead and put an audience in there. So is that okay if I call it that?
Yes.
Okay. And so all these conversations we're having, what do we expect when we go see it? Where can we hear it? Where do people perform now?
Well, right now there aren't a lot of venues that support cabaret type performing. Used to be really big here in Dallas, and a lot of people went. And it has a good audience, but it's died down. And I'm trying to revive that. Right now, I'm doing a cabaret series at Uptown Theater in Grand Prairie every second Tuesday. There's cabaret, which is about a 75-minute show. You come in, you have their complimentary hors d'oeuvres, and there's a cash bar. And you sit and enjoy a show of music that's kind of put together with stories and enjoy that. Salmon Center for the Arts does a cabaret series. The format is slightly different, but it's in a cabaret type setting. You come in, and I believe it's 45 minutes, then intermission, 45 minutes, but they also have complimentary drinks and cocktails. The kitchen has a supper club environment out in North Dallas where they're starting to do this kind of thing as well. So people are recognizing that there is an audience for this, and we just have to stay vigilant. I mean, I've been trying to get this going for years now, and it's starting to finally go, yes, let's catch on. So if anybody for Christmas wants to buy me a cabaret bar,
Oh, that's all you ask?
that's all I want. They buy me just rent me one and let me be Miss Kitty. I'll run it and make sure that it is done well, and we will do cabaret justice in Dallas.
You know that's not really what Miss Kitty did, right?
Right. You have to take that out.
I don't think she was singing.
That's what Miss Kitty did. It may not be what the women who work for her did. That's what she did. When you own the place.
So since you brought that up, who are you performing with next?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've actually kind of put on my producer's hat, and so Denise Lee on stage is presenting with Uptown Theater. It's a cabaret Christmas with Carolyn Lee Jones, Terry Loftus, and Sarah Shelby Martin.
All good people.
That will happen on December 9th. The great thing about this is it showcases these incredible artists because they will each be, I will produce one of their shows in the coming months. Carolyn Lee Jones will be at Uptown Theater in January. Terry Loftus will be at Uptown Theater in February. And Sarah Shelby Martin will be there in April. And I will be coming back in March.
Wow.
With a brand new show.
Wow. That is going to be fun.
So I'm excited.
So the Christmas cabaret, is it all Christmas music?
It is. It's Christmas or...
Will it make me jolly?
Method music. You know, not method.
Method music.
I set up...
Sorry. You told me to shut up.
It is. You told me what Miss Kitty did.
I just wanted to be clear.
It's music. It's a message music.
Okay.
And so, but it's all themed around.
What do we wear?
Wear your holiday attire or just come comfortable. I'm really big in comfort.
Yeah. As opposed to discomfort?
Yes.
Right. Most of us are.
Tacky.
Okay. Or tacky.
Or tacky. I want you to come in flip-flops. I don't want you to come in flip-flops.
I don't. Okay.
It's okay.
It's cold. I'm not wearing socks right now and it's freezing.
Because that's who you are. You're dapper like that. You're right. You put up a socks.
What's in your coffee mug right now?
Nothing. I finished it. It's a latte.
Latte. What kind?
I don't know. Somebody brought it to me and I drank it. You don't question what you don't